So welcome back to another episode of Reboot. And before we dive into this video, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and making comments on the channel. We're incredibly small, and it makes a huge amount of difference to get your feedback, both as motivation to continue making some of these videos, but also to know that we're on the right track, I guess, in terms of the content that we're creating. So this video is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be about borders. It's not going to be about treaties. It's not even going to necessarily be about who's in the right and who's in the wrong with regards to the border dispute. And I have made some notes just in case you see my eyes dropping to the screen below me. Now, for this video, I'm really not here to lecture, and I'm definitely trying to be impartial with these videos. But this video is about something that's a little bit more uncomfortable and something that I guess is a little harder to admit and something that I very much had to confront in myself. And that is how online content and online conflict changes us and how technology manipulates us and how easy it is, I think, to lose our humanity without even realizing. Because over the last few weeks, I've spent a lot of time watching the online content in relation to this border dispute. And I didn't really expect to feel what I felt or what I saw, and I guess what it revealed. And yeah, so let me tell you about the moment that things started to suddenly make sense. So it all started with a photograph, and it was a photograph of a Cambodian soldier who'd been shot, recovering in a hospital bed, completely unconscious. His eyes were closed, he was completely vulnerable, and I guess a human being in the most fragile moment that any of us could experience. And someone had taken that photograph and they'd fed it through AI and forced a smile onto his face. A man who wasn't even awake had been turned into a joke. And when I saw it, I didn't feel anger, at least I didn't initially. I felt a deep, deep sense of sadness. Because in that one edited image, you can see something incredibly unsettling, that technology isn't just capturing reality, it's twisting it, it's flattening it, it's stripping away all dignity. That soldier wasn't a person anymore, he'd been turned into content. And his suffering had become entertainment, and his vulnerability, I guess, had become a meme. His reality was overridden because the digital world wanted something more shareable. And that's when it hit me that the border the conflict is definitely being played in two places. One, the physical sense at the border, where there's real people, real casualties, real suffering. And then there's the digital battlefield, where emotion is seen to travel further than the truth, where edits travel further than evidence, and where humanity gets lost in all of this noise. And the most disturbing part is that whereas on a physical battlefield, it's the generals that command the troops, but on the digital battlefield, the algorithm is the general. So, like with a lot of the content that I'm producing on this border dispute, I didn't plan to get pulled into all of this, genuinely. But in this instance, the digital battlefield is designed to pull you in. You click on one video, you read one comment, you open one thread, and suddenly the algorithm thinks, you care about this. Here's more. Here's something angrier. Here's something more emotional. Here's something that will keep you hooked. And without noticing, you find yourself involved in a conflict you're not even physically a part of. And that's when I realized something important, that most people aren't reacting to the conflict itself. They're reacting to the content about the conflict. And that content is shaped, it's filtered, it's positioned, and it's weaponized by algorithms. Algorithms decide what you see, what you don't see, which comments are pushed up, which emotions get rewarded, which narratives feel important. and which reactions feel justified. Not because they're true, but because not because they're verified, but because they are engaging. And the digital battlefield, the subject for this video, isn't built on logic. It's built on outrage. It's built on identity. It's built on humiliation. It's built on speed, tribalism, and instant reaction. And this is why online conflict, I think, feels so explosive. Because in the real world, facts take time, but evidence is slow, and context takes effort. But emotion that's driven by the digital battlefield is instant, it goes viral, and it gets rewarded. And this creates an online environment where anger rises before understanding, where certainty appears as evidence, and sides form before the truth is even known. Mockery, which we've all seen a huge amount of recently, spreads quicker than empathy has a chance to speak. And the more emotional the content, the more the algorithm pushes it. And that's when I realized that this digital battlefield has its own chain of command. On the ground, soldiers follow the generals. Online, users follow algorithms. And that's why I want to bring in my digital avatar.
Hi, I'm the digital version of Ben. I exist only because artificial intelligence made me possible. If I could be created this easily, imagine how easily emotions, narratives, and even evidence can be created too. That smiling soldier, he was edited using the same kind of system that created me. This is what the new digital general's algorithms do. They don't speak in words. They speak through visibility. Every time something appears at the top of your feed, that's an order. Every time you react instantly, you're carrying out the order. Every time you share without verifying, you've deployed another piece of ammunition. On the digital battlefield, attention is ammunition, emotion is strategy, and you, the user, are the infantry. If you don't question the information, you become the weapon.
So I think my avatar is right, uncomfortably right. Technology isn't creating cruelty, it's amplifying it, it's accelerating it, and it's rewarding it. Tribalism has become content, mockery has become entertainment, and pain has become the punchline. And somewhere along the way, real people disappear. Families, communities, soldiers, children, history, trauma, fear, and loss. They get replaced by slogans and edits and jokes and posts that are purely designed to solicit a reaction. And that is the real tragedy, I guess, of the digital battlefield. And it's easy, so easy, to forget that behind every headline there's a human being. So what can we do, I guess, to avoid being drawn into this online conflict? Well, I think we can slow down and breathe before reacting. We question what we're looking at and the content and the purpose of that content before sharing it. And we recognize when the algorithm is poking us, trying to provoke us, trying to turn us into soldiers in a battlefield that we didn't choose to join. We remind ourselves that viral, so content that has been shared umpteen times online, does not mean that content is verified. That loud doesn't mean it's accurate. And that confident doesn't mean correct. And that emotion doesn't mean it's true. And most importantly, as people, we should choose empathy in a system that's been built to reward the opposite. Because on the physical border, there are rules, but on the digital battlefield, there don't seem to be any. Clarity is, for all of us, the strongest weapon. Critical thinking is the shield. And staying human, especially when the digital world tries to strip that away, is the only way that we can win.